Picture this. You're watching a dolphin suddenly explode from the surface of the water in this perfect, graceful arc. Or maybe you're watching a pole vaulter launch themselves high into the air, literally looking like they're defying gravity. We have all marveled at this kind of spectacular motion. But here is the real puzzle, the thing that physicists obsess over. What exactly makes that leap possible? What invisible interactions are occurring right at that exact split second the dolphin leaves the water? To answer this, we can't just describe the dolphin's speed or just measure the height of its jump. No, we have to look deeper. We have to look at the hidden causes behind the movement. We need to look at forces. So by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand the fundamental concept of dynamics. You'll be able to precisely define what a force actually is, and you will totally master the art of drawing free body diagrams to map out any physical interaction. Essentially, you're going to have the tools to decode the invisible rules governing everything moving around you. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the mystery of motion, where we'll look at describing versus causing motion. Up until now, you might be pretty familiar with kinematics. Kinematics is the language of description. It basically tells us the how. How fast is the car going? What's its acceleration? What is its velocity? But kinematics is completely blind to the why, and that is exactly where dynamics comes in. Dynamics considers the actual forces that affect and cause the motion of objects and systems. Think of it like this. If kinematics is standing on the sidewalk watching a car drive by, dynamics is popping the hood, looking at the engine, and analyzing the friction of the tires on the asphalt. But humanity didn't just wake up one day knowing how dynamics worked. So let's take a quick look at section 2, Pioneers of Scientific Observation, and see how we went from logic to telescopes. It is absolutely fascinating to look at the paradigm shift this timeline represents. For centuries, brilliant classical philosophers like Aristotle debated the nature of the universe using pure logic. They thought things out, sure, but they didn't really test them. Then, fast forward to the early 1600s, and Galileo changes the game. He establishes observation as the ultimate truth. He points a telescope at Jupiter, sees moons orbiting it, and proves that our logical assumptions can be completely wrong if they aren't backed by actual observation. Then, building directly on Galileo's foundation, Isaac Newton publishes his legendary Principia Mathematica in 1687. This laid down the universal laws of dynamics that function the exact same way here on Earth as they do way out in space. Wait, hold on a second. This is important. Before we go any further, we need a quick reality check. Newton's laws are incredibly powerful, but they definitely have boundaries. They define the realm of classical mechanics. This means they only produce highly accurate approximations when objects are moving much slower than the speed of light and are larger than the size of most molecules. If we want to look at atoms or objects traveling near light speed, we have to step into modern physics, which means quantum theory and relativity. But for everyday spectacular motion, like our leaping dolphin, classical mechanics is exactly what we need. So we know dynamics studies forces. Let's make this perfectly clear in section 3. What exactly is force? Pushes, pulls, and vectors. The definition is actually beautifully simple. Our everyday intuitive understanding is the perfect place to start. A force is simply a push or a pull on an object. That's it. But to do physics, we do need to add 2 critical details. A force always has a specific magnitude and a specific direction. Let's break those 2 details down. Magnitude basically asks, how strong is the push or pull? Think of a cannon firing. The expanding gases exert a massive, explosive force on the cannonball. Now contrast that with the Earth exerting a tiny, almost imperceptible downward pull on a tiny flea. That difference? That's magnitude. Then we have direction, which is just which way is the push or pull happening. If you have 2 ice skaters and they both push a third skater in different directions, that third skater isn't going to just randomly spin around. They will move in a specific path dictated by the combined directions of those 2 pushes. Now you might be asking, wait, what makes force a vector? Well, because a force has both that magnitude and that direction, it behaves mathematically as a vector quantity. This perfectly illustrates that forces add together just like other vectors using trigonometry or the head-to-tail method. If you push a box north with 10 units of force and your friend pushes it east with 10 units of force, the box feels a combined vector force pushing it northeast. Direction absolutely matters. So, if we have all these invisible vector forces pushing and pulling on objects in all sorts of different directions, how do we visually map them out without getting totally confused? That brings us to section 4, drawing free body diagrams isolating the forces. To do this, we use one of the most powerful tools in dynamics, the free body diagram. This is a visual technique used to illustrate every single external force acting on a specific, isolated body. It basically strips away all the messy background noise of reality and leaves us with only the pure mechanics of the situation. The crucial point here is knowing how to draw one correctly. It's super easy. Step 1. You represent the complex body, whether it's a car, a planet, or our dolphin from earlier, as a single isolated point. Step 2. You draw only the external forces acting on that body as arrows pointing outward from the dot. The length of the arrow represents the magnitude, and the way it points represents the direction. Step 3. You completely ignore all internal forces. Now, you might be asking, wait, do we really need to draw every single force inside an object? Like, what about the mechanical stresses inside a car engine, or the blood pumping inside the dolphin? The answer is absolutely not. We ignore internal forces because only external forces acting on the body from the outside can affect its overall motion. The internal forces, they just balance each other out within the system.
Okay, now that we know how to map forces on a diagram, let's connect this to real life in Section 5, Measuring Forces with Springs, Real-World Measurement. Think about this for a second. If distance can be perfectly measured by a standard ruler, how do we create a standard unit for a push or a pull? We need something that provides a consistent, completely repeatable physical effort.
And this brilliantly illustrates the solution, a simple spring. Imagine an undistorted spring just resting at its normal length. If you stretch that spring by a specific, fixed distance, it desperately wants to snap back to its original shape. That pull it exerts to return to normal is called a restoring force. And the absolute beauty of a spring is that this restoring force is perfectly reproducible. Every single time you stretch it exactly 1 inch, it pulls back with the exact same amount of force. By using that specific stretch as our baseline, we can measure the magnitude of all other forces as multiples of that standard unit. It's just an incredibly elegant physical measurement. We have covered a lot of ground today, tracing the mechanics of motion. Before we finish up, let's move to Section 6, Summary and Next Steps, and look at the big picture.
First, we moved past simply describing motion and entered the awesome realm of dynamics, which is the study of the forces that actually cause objects to move in the first place. Second, we established that a force is just a push or a pull, and because it has both magnitude and direction, it behaves as a vector. Finally, we learned that to solve literally any physics problem, our absolute best friend is the free body diagram, representing our object as a single dot and mapping out only the external forces acting upon it. All of these concepts, the vectors, standard measurements, external forces, these are the essential building blocks. They set the stage for the true core of classical mechanics, Newton's laws of motion. These laws represent a profound simplicity under which our entire natural world functions. Which leaves us with one final, totally fascinating thought to ponder before our next explainer. We now know that a net force causes a change in motion, right? It makes the dolphin jump. It makes the cannonball fly. But what happens to an object's motion when absolutely zero external forces are acting upon it? Does it stop? Does it just keep going forever? Well, the answer to that question reveals the incredible mystery of inertia, and that is exactly